Hey, are freight rates going up? What's the load to truck ratio and what's going on with fuel? These are all important data points that you need to know that are going to have an impact on your business. This is my freight market update for May 27th through June 2nd. Let's dive in. We're going to talk about load to truck ratio. We're going to talk about national averages for rates. We're going to talk about fuel. We're going to talk about all that. So hang with me and let's get started. All right. So for van rates for the month of April, as you can see here on the screen, we had a $1.99 per mile average. In May, it went up to $2.02 per mile. And then in June, so far, it's up to $2.08 per mile. All right, so for reefers, let's take a look at that. We're $2.33 per mile in April. And then in May, they went up to $2.42 per mile. And then in June, they bumped up to $2.47 per mile so far. All right, so you can see the trajectory here. You can see the trends, what's going on with rates. So for flatbed, we've got in April, $2.52 per mile. In May, $2.53, so it inched up just a little bit. And then we had a big jump here so far in June at $2.63 per mile for flatbed. Those are the national averages for van, reefer, flatbed, and you can see the trends are going up as we head into summer. Okay, so now let's talk about load to truck ratio. But before I dive in, I want to put this into context a little bit. The higher the load to truck ratio, which is the number of loads posted in proportion to the number of trucks posted on the DAT, the higher that is, the bigger the delta between trucks and loads, typically that causes prices to go up. But there's also another dynamic that's important for you to understand, especially as a broker or an agent. The higher the delta between load to truck ratio, meaning if you have a 1-to-1 load to truck ratio versus a 10-to-1 load to truck ratio, the higher that load to truck ratio is, typically that means there's more freight available from shippers that can go to brokers. So there's more demand for brokers the higher the load to truck ratio. So that's important that you understand. All right, so now let's dive into the actual load to truck ratios. All right, as you can see on the screen here, the reefer side, May 19th, the week of May 19th was 7.91 loads to trucks posted on the DAT. On May 26th, week of May 26th, it was 6.27 load to truck ratio. And on June 2nd, it's now up to 6.3 to 1. So you can see the trend for vans is going up. Slowly, the trend is going up. So now let's take a look at flatbeds. All right, the flatbed load to truck ratio for May 19th was 19.4 to 1. On May 26th, it was 17.45. So it went down a little bit. But now you can see on June 2nd on the screen here that it went up to 18.86. So again, trending upwards in the big scheme of things. On the van, May 19th, you can see it was 4.93 to 1. On May 26th, 4.56. And on June 2nd, 5.2. So you can see here, again, I think some of the seasonality, some of the produce season is coming in. So there's more loads than there are trucks. That's going to increase rates and demand. So, okay, so now let's take a look at the regional rates for van, reefer, flatbed. I'm going to break it down per region. As you can see here on the screen, the Northeast for van rates, $1.74 per mile. The Southeast, you can see $2.08 per mile. The Southwest, Texas included obviously, is $2.03 per mile. The Pacific Northwest, $2.03 per mile. And the Midwest coming in at the highest average van rate per region at $2.10 per mile for vans. All right, so let's move on to flatbeds. The Northeast, $2.45 per mile. The Midwest, $2.61 per mile. The Pacific Northwest at $2.26 per mile, the Southwest at $2.54 per mile, and the Southeast coming in at $2.69 per mile, which is the highest for flatbeds per region. Okay, so now let's take a look at the reefer rates. All right, so the Northeast, $1.89 per mile, which is not unusual. The Southeast, $2.49 per mile. The Southwest, $2.41 per mile. The Midwest coming in at $2.43 per mile, and the Pacific Northwest leading the charge here when it comes to reefer rates at $2.56 per mile. Okay, and as for the national average for diesel fuel, you can see here that we dropped again week over week. The current national average is $3.73 per gallon. You know, we've had several weeks, 3 or 4 weeks in a row now, where diesel prices have went down. You can see here on the board that it's down in every region, from the Northeast to the Midwest, all the way to the West Coast. Every region is down when it comes to fuel. That's good for truckers, good for shippers, and good for everybody. Okay, guys, I need a favor. If you guys are enjoying these freight market updates week to week, what I want you to do is hit the like button right now and then comment below. Let me know if you have any questions, if you have other data you'd like me to cover. If you're enjoying these, please give me some feedback. If you guys give me great feedback, I'll continue doing it, but I promise you, if this isn't good for you, then I can find better things to do, and so can you. So listen, if you're curious about becoming a freight broker, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Trained over 10,000 students, had that program since 2009, and I've personally done over $200 million as a freight broker. Again, we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. Check it out at freightbrokerbootcamp.com. And I'd like to hear your feedback in the comments. Hit the like button. Hit me up in the comments with any questions you might have.